team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, one day away from our next football game. College and pro football starting back up tomorrow night. We'll get some previews of that here on the show. We got Justin Perry talking some Major League Baseball with us. Our very own Kevin Walsh will join us and do over the very latest going on in his world of sports, which is baseball and some football. We got basketball getting ready to start up again soon, too. Simon Applebaum will join us from the podcast tomorrow. Will be televised, so that and a whole lot more, including our friends at Front Office Sports. But first, we start off with some Major League Baseball action. Sports betting news a little quiet today, but not quiet on the diamond, as they will kick off another game coming up in an hour from now. It's do or die time for the Cleveland Guardians as they fall yesterday to the Detroit Tigers. Tigers take a 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series. And yeah, it was supposed to be a close game. It ended up being a close game. Supposed to be a low-scoring game. Yes, it was a low-scoring game, too. Tariq Skubal, 14 strikeouts in 7 2/3 innings. He gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run. Gavin Williams, great too. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 8 Ks. Bottom line for Skubal at this point is he's back and he is dominating and he is making postseason starts, and said it's just a very big deal in a 3-game series, as you would imagine, to go up 1-0.
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot to take the ball game on. To have the trust of our whole organization, teammates, coaches, coaching staff, it means a lot. And it doesn't really matter how we got here. We got in, everybody's in the same boat, and we're up 1-0 in a best of 3. So it doesn't really matter how you get here, as long as you get in.
And a little panic maybe in store for Cleveland. That lineup looked a little light, I would say, on the power side. Don't know that this is going to help, but we'll see. Get ready. A rookie's going to make his Major League debut in the postseason. This has only happened a handful of times in the history of baseball before. Chase DeLauder, called up former first-round pick, indeed will play center field and start for Cleveland coming up today. We'll see if this ends up being the answer or the end for Cleveland. Stay tuned, 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, Cubs take game 1 in their battle against the San Diego Padres. Really impressive win for Chicago. Good starting pitching, but really when it came down to it for the Cubs, in a low-scoring game, everyone said it would be the Padres bullpen that would take out the Cubs. Not so fast. It was the Cubs bullpen that shut things down yesterday. Craig Counsell saying that's the reason why they're up 1-0.
It was perfect today. I mean, that's what it was. It's, let's see, 13, it's 14 outs. And I've talked a lot about, them helping each other and how that group is connected. And today was a great example of it. They get their outs and they make their matchups the right matchups. And so just a brilliant job. Everybody just executed pitches, made pitches. Can't say enough about what they did today.
In the Bronx yesterday, the Yankees took on the Red Sox. If our normal producer was producing this show, Frankie, we would have let off the show with that, but everybody knows I ain't doing Yankees at the beginning of the show, and we may not have to do them anymore because they lost last night to the Red Sox and blew another lead as they've done previous times in the postseason. 3-1 the final. Max Fried with a great start. Bullpen not so good. Red Sox take a 3-1 lead. I would tell you this, it was a very dicey finish to the game. Even though Garrett Crochet threw 7 of 2/3 of 1 earned run, 11 strikeout ball, Aroldis Chapman came in the 9th inning and on 3 consecutive pitches gave up 3 consecutive hits. But they ended up closing it out, and now all the questions surrounding the Yankees' bullpen usage. So here's Aaron Boone on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously both guys were great as advertised. Crochet was obviously really tough. Volpe gets him there. We get a couple on right away in the first inning, but he navigates that, and he was pretty pitch efficient too. Like he was, we didn't walk off him. We had a couple of at-bats, a couple in a row where we got to 3 balls and we're kind of pressuring him, but he made big pitches in those situations to really keep his workload down there. So he was obviously very tough against us, and Max was more than matching him.
And on the Red Sox side of the clubhouse, very excited. Here's Trevor Story on picking up a win in the Bronx.
I guess if you draw that up, right, that's a pretty good win right there.
Yeah, for sure. Just a hard-fought win. Showed the grittiness of our team, and got down early to a really good pitcher, and was able to kind of fight and get him out of the game there in the 6th, and then obviously Massa and Sogi come up with the big hits, and Rafa with the big walk too in the 7th. So just a fun game, a well-played game, and obviously happy we got it done.
Final game of the night was one that you could have shut off pretty quickly. Boy, Cincinnati Reds, I was hoping they could keep it close with the Dodgers. Doesn't appear to be the case. Shohei Ohtani led off the game with a home run. Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run. Tommy Edman hit a home run. Ohtani hit another home run. It was ugly. I mean, this is the Reds' best starter, too, in Hunter Green. It was minus 200, I believe, was the line. You could have even laid 4.5 runs in this game. Dodgers win game 1 and probably going to advance to move on after Shohei Ohtani goes a little nuts yesterday. 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, 5 at-bats. If Dodgers win today, Shohei Ohtani will start game 1 of the National League Division Series. Here's the schedule for today. 1 p.m. Eastern, Tigers, Guardians. It'll be Mize against Bibby, followed by Padres, Cubs, Cease versus Kittredge. Yankees and Red Sox tonight. Yankees need a win. They'll have to beat Brian Bayo with Carlos Rodon. And then the Dodgers will start Yoshinobu Yamamoto against Zach Littell. Yeah, that's the matchup there. All right, news in baseball today. The end of an era for the Atlanta Braves. Brian Snitker is stepping down as Braves manager. He'll stay within the organization. Braves had a tough year last year. They'll be looking for a new skipper effective immediately. And the Colorado Rockies not only need a new manager, they need a new general manager. Bill Schmidt, who's been with the Colorado Rockies organization for a number of years, has decided to step down. And so the search begins for a new president of baseball operations, general manager, new front office basically coming for the Rockies. WNBA, what a thriller last night. The Las Vegas Aces are advancing to the WNBA Finals after winning in overtime. They went on a 16-game winning streak at the end of the season and pick up a potential championship along the way. We'll see. Las Vegas is heading to the WNBA Finals. In NFL news, a quarterback change yet again for a draft pick, and this time it's Dylan Gabriel of the Cleveland Browns. He'll start in London this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Joe Flacco, they've decided to pull the plug at least early on this. And interesting that it was not Shedeur Sanders, as some would speculate. It is Gabriel, but who knows? Sanders could start later in the season. We certainly will see. Also in the NFL yesterday, it was confirmed that Tyreek Hill did have surgery, and it was ACL surgery, although a second operation will not be needed. Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, says that Hill will be back and better than ever next season. So good news for him. Lamar Jackson, a lot of different reports, by the way, on Lamar Jackson. I want to say this, so I can't declare this guy out without knowing and not being on the ground there reporting, but he's expected to not play this week against the Texans. But stand by on that, and obviously wait till later in the week when the injury reports come out. Brock Purdy and the 49ers play tomorrow night against the Rams. He says he's hopeful that he could play. 49ers have a ton of injuries also. We don't even know if Ricky Pearsall or Jawan Jennings is going to play in that game either. And finally, if he doesn't play, Mac Jones will get the start, and talked about preparing for that.
Did your approach change at all this week? Or?
No. I've had a few of these Thursday night deals before, and it happens fast. So that's all I know, and really you just got to stick to your rules. And it's a quick week. You kind of just go out there and, like fall camp, you just play the game, and each day is a new practice during fall camp. So that's kind of how we view it. It's very quick, and turnaround's quick. So that's how I'm approaching it.
Coming up next, we get the latest opinions in Major League Baseball from Justin Perry on the wild card round. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. Be right back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch him over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to get Wild Card Game 2 between the Tigers and Guardians, with Cleveland deciding to reach down and grab a rookie from their minor league system to start this game. What a rare occasion that we have. Let's check in with Justin Perry, who joins us here on the show to weigh in on some of these series. And Justin, I think that's probably a good place to start. I know they've only been doing the 3-game wild card thing now here for a couple of years, but no team, I guess, that's ever lost the first game has ever come back to win the next 2 games, which tells you about, how hot teams are, I guess, going into the postseason and not. And so we'll start with Detroit, who were one of the bigger favorites to just close this thing out and end it today. Certainly Cleveland's offense leaves a lot to be desired. They won a ton of games in the second half of the season on the strength of their pitching, but the postseason is different. Total 6.5. I mean, yeah, Jose Ramirez could homer today, but is he going to homer 3 times today, Justin? This offense for Cleveland, it's quite frankly stunning to me that they got this far with what they're rolling out there.
I mean, they call it the voodoo for a reason, right? They seem to be able to score runs and stay in games without the ball leaving the infield. But I think we know well in the last couple of years, hitting home runs, getting those big extra base hits is truly what wins you games in the long run. And what is the most predictive indicator right now? I think it's over 80% if you out homer your opponent. It's tough to look at. I got only 2 guys that are honestly bona fide sluggers for this team, and Jose Ramirez and Kyle Manzardo. And Manzardo leaves a lot to be desired in the actual contact aspect. He has a 231 expected batting average this season. So I mean, maybe some hard hit balls, but it's going to be a tall task. It is really going to go on to Bybee to see if he can repeat that performance from late September against the Detroit Tigers, where he went for 6 innings, only allowed a run, and was able to throw 105 pitches. And I mean, he did that kind of twice, right? His most recent 2 appearances have been against this team. So the call here is a smart one, but I don't know how it's really going to finish off. This definitely could be a great spot for one of those first 5 unders to start this game off. I expect both pitchers to do pretty well.
Yeah, baseball postseason, you see the totals just shooting down across the board. That includes the friendly confines in Chicago. That's game 2, 3:09 p.m. Eastern. The Cubs took game 1 in a close one against the Padres. And the Padres offense didn't really get off to a good start here, Justin. And I wonder if that will change. I mean, this narrative of all San Diego needs to do is score 1 or 2 runs and then throw the bullpen out there. Well, I got to get a lead in this game in order to do that. Certainly up against it today, playing in front of a raucous crowd in Chicago.
Yeah, the crowd is a big deal for apparently everyone but the New York Yankees. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game today. They're opening up with Kittredge, who has been pretty great, honestly, has 100 percentile chase rate. He's going to be able to get those first few batters out and hopefully neutralize the top of that order for San Diego, which is so dangerous. And then you hope, if you're the Cubs, that maybe you're mixing and matching, getting the 8-9 guy to start an inning, not really dealing with the full-fledged threat that can come from trying to face this murderer's row of Tatis, Machado, Merrill. They're shooting Gavin Sheets in there, of course, but even Ryan O'Hearn is a great hitter too. This is one of the more difficult lineups to deal with. So we'll see how it goes. I think, for me, the way I see it, this Padres team, the success really is tied to that offense. They do need to score 3 or 4 runs here today to really get this win home. The Cubs are going to be able to manufacture runs. They have a very tricky lineup to deal with, honestly. Bush, Suzuki, Swanson, Tucker, Happ, PCA. I mean, those are guys who can make things happen. The speed, honestly, the intelligence of the way this team plays. This could be a 2-0 win for the Cubs today if that bullpen game into the starter kind of looks good. And they're putting Kevin Alcantara up at the top, I think, today. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't think lineups are out, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the rookie, or I guess not really even going to be considered a rookie, make some noise. Right. I think this is a good spot for the Cubs, but wouldn't be shocked to see the Padres force game 3.
Yeah, credit to the Yankees last season. They sort of defied some odds and got all the way to the World Series with this all or nothing offense. But, unfortunately, that reared its head again. And when the Yankees are in that sort of slump, Justin, as you know, that slump can linger. I saw it here in South Florida against the Marlins. When those bats are cold, I mean, they could go weeks without getting hot again, and they just have to hope that that's not going to be the case tonight in the Bronx. They're favored again, minus 172 here on the money line. Total's a little bit higher than those other games we mentioned at 7.5. But if they're not going to be able to produce runs, then the Red Sox are going to win this series. And I don't know if it'll be tonight or if it'll be tomorrow, but not just Judge. I mean, they got to put... I mean, how do the Yankees not score runs in the postseason, basically, is what I'm asking you. Like, is this another postseason, unlike the last year's postseason, where they just go cold again?
Well, I think the biggest problem and a reason I was on the Red Sox last night, and I'm a lifelong Yankees fan. I'll tell you why I had a hunch that it was going to be an issue for the Yankees yesterday is because Giancarlo Stanton is not performing right now. He's hitting, I think he hit 224 in September after hitting something like 339 in August. His rolling xWOBA is like down close to 351 after being close to 430 in the past month. So yeah, he can get the barrel on the ball, and yes, he might be dangerous still to get that home run, but every other at bat is coming up kind of moot, and that's going to be a bit of an issue. Of course, the righty on the mound, Bello today, you're going to see Jazz, you're going to see Rice back in the lineup. I think that'll help a lot. I expect the Yankees bats to do some damage. I think if they get this thing to 4 or 5 runs on their side, they should have no problem. They do have the pitching advantage today, against Bello with Rodon. But of course, Rodon can be hot or cold too. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. I think, the stuff that he has is very good when it is on. He's going to feature that 4-seamer, mix it up with that slider down low and away. And then, hopefully the change can dot some of the corners as well. But we'll see how he's really able to do it. The hard hit percentage for him is still just as good as what we see with Bello, but he does limit opponents to a better slugging percentage and batting average. So we'll see. I think the Yankees should force Game 3.
Anything to add on this Dodgers-Reds series? Pretty deflating for the Reds. It had to be yesterday. Eventually, Dodgers will win, right? Whether it's today or tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, I just got to be happy for the Reds that they made it. Were able to battle it out. A great sign for a very young team that didn't really have a lot to go on, but still made it against some of the better teams in baseball.
All right, thanks, Justin, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Genti between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
He came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Signetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We'll have plenty of updates on Major League Baseball throughout the day and also updates on the injury report in the NFL. Feels like this is a really big week for that. We'll also get into this little war of words between Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, and also Liam Cohen, the head coach of the Jaguars. And also hear from Nafisa Collier as the WNBA heads toward the finals coming up on a Friday night. It's time now for the SportsGrid sound-off. All right, we hear so much about the WNBA and all the success that they're having, and the media rights growing, the money growing, and certainly all kinds of different aspects of the league being able to generate money. But there definitely seems to be something missing, because all the players in the league, especially some of the more popular players, have complained that the league is not paying enough money to their players. Some of the amenities that they're having to go through are not proper. And I wonder if this will end up changing in the future. But it has certainly not stopped some of their marquee players for sounding off, so to speak, on some of the issues. And that ended up happening yesterday with Napheesa Collier, who decided in her exit interview to describe all of the different issues that are surrounding the WNBA and the things that need to get fixed.
Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. Sorry, I had to walk here in my boot. I'm kind of out of breath. The league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. But what's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. Fans see it every night. Coaches, both winning and losing, point it out every night in pregame and postgame media. Yet leadership just issues fines and looks the other way. They ignore the issues that everyone inside the game is begging to be fixed. That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us.
Tough scene right now for the WNBA, and maybe that will take some focus and hopefully not take away from the championship series, which begins Friday night as Phoenix takes on Las Vegas. Meanwhile, the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh and the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohen, having a little war of words, so to speak, all stemming from Saleh sort of accusing Cohen of stealing some signs. And Saleh said he didn't do it. Cohen says he doesn't want to talk about it. Really bizarre scene from the former head coach with the current head coach. And so now that this has gone back and forth, we've heard Cohen say, I'm not going to talk about this anymore publicly. Robert Saleh had his chance to respond to the media in an interview yesterday.
No, it's all good. Whatever happened on Sunday doesn't change how I feel. I in my heart, genuinely was trying to give a compliment. And I own the fact that I probably used, it was a wrong choice of words, but however you want to word it, I mean, they're really, really good at putting their players in position to be successful. You know, as coaches, we're always chasing leverage. They're trying to have winning leverage. We're trying to take leverage away. And everyone in the league is trying to find every avenue they can. And as a coach watching their tape, I recognize the amount of hours that must be spent to be able to build formations and to find every little indicator they can to give their players a chance to be in a successful position. It's exhausting, and every team does it. Some do it better than others, and it was my way of acknowledging that these guys are really, really, really good at it. And and like I said, Sunday doesn't change that. I think Liam's doing a hell of a job. I really do. You can tell that team is really taking on his personality, and I hope they came out of the game healthy, and I wish them the best of luck throughout the rest of the season.
The Jaguars, one of the bigger surprises thus far in the NFL, going to San Francisco and winning in a game like that. All right, we'll take a quick time out here on NewsWire. When we come back next, the prediction market companies are increasing the ideas that they have to take your predictions. Not named wagers, but predictions, I guess. So Kalshi's up next. We'll talk about that with Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report right after this.
Ashton-Genty between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Tet McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The leader right now in the clubhouse in the odds market is Fernando Mendoza. College football purists, yep, absolutely know that guy. Fantastic. He's a great quarterback. Non-purists who are tuning in just for the biggest games, who is this guy, Joe, and how did he get here?
He came from Cal. He's a mobile kid. He's big. He's about 6'3", about 220. He's a gutty kid and had a great performance for Kirk Cignetti.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
We're in a weird place with Trevor Lawrence. This was another one of these quote-unquote can't-miss generational quarterback prospects, right? Everybody was salivating over when he was a freshman winning national championships. And here we are, about 5 years later, looking at ourselves going, is it just time for Trevor Lawrence to get a change of venue or something? Like, what's got to give here? Hopefully this Liam Cohen offense starts to come together.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's get the very latest on sports betting, and let's check in with Sam McQuillan of Legal Sports Report, as Sam is with us once again here on our midweek edition of the show. Sam, some big news out there. The prediction markets just keep on adding little things to their menu to be able to put your money on. I saw parlays now involved, and basically just not holding back and opening up the door to all kinds of new ways to not wager, but put money down on things. Kalshi, no stranger to this, and I see some of the other companies as well. So it's increase a number of options, I guess, with the NFL season underway.
Yeah, prediction market Kalshi set a new record for trading activity on Saturday with $260 million in volume. That tops its previous record, which was on Election Day 2024, long before it started doing these sports prediction contracts. Then a day later, it proceeded to break that record again with $275 million in volume on Sunday. Almost all of that was on sports, about 98% of all the volume this weekend. And football actually made up 24 of the top 25 traded markets on Kalshi. The only market that wasn't football that was in the top 25 was the Ryder Cup in golf. So another sports market there. You had a huge slate of college football games on Saturday. It was actually the second highest week of viewership since the season started. You had Alabama and Georgia drew $23 million in volume. You had 8 games in total, breaking 8 figures on Kalshi. So just huge numbers on the platform. Again, this is its first season of college football, first season of NFL, the first time people in California, people in Texas and Georgia can pretty much do what looks very much like sports betting on this platform, Kalshi, which is partnered with Robinhood as well. And then Sunday rolled around, and you had the overtime thriller between the Cowboys, the Packers, Micah Parsons facing his former team. Went to overtime, high-scoring game, which always attracts more volume. And then Kalshi, a day later, decides to roll out what is calling a combine your own wager, make your own wager, make your own not a bet, but it's a bet. It's basically what it is. It's a parlay, which has been rolled out now by Kalshi for the first time. And I wouldn't be surprised if other sports prediction markets start doing this sort of thing. Keep in mind, this is something that FanDuel and DraftKings have said, we're not worried about prediction markets taking away from our business because they can't offer parlays. They can't offer these bets that people love to do. Now you have them starting to do that. So we don't have the initial numbers yet because they've just started doing it. This week will be very telling. They already, smashed their numbers last week without parlays. We'll have to see what happens. And, meantime, regulation just is not there. The CFTC held a roundtable with the SEC this week to discuss this. That didn't really amount to anything. U.S. senators are now circulating a letter basically asking why the CFTC is allowing these companies to skirt around gambling laws in the states and gambling laws that the tribes own as well. Kalshi continues to do this tremendous amount of volume, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. They're rolling out new products. You have now Underdog with Crypto.com getting in this space as well. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, there's no regulation. So it's a huge quandary right now for sports betting operators.
Yeah, story just keeps growing every time we bring you on, Sam, and talk about that. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar, maybe there are some people who are watching who just enjoy the show and don't bet on sports. I know this sounds a little wild, but folks, there are sports books out there that if you win, they can stop taking your bets. As crazy as that sounds, that exists out there. Now, you can lose as much as you want, but you can't win as much as you want. It's true. This is actually true. You can log into a site, click, bet. Why can't I bet? Call up. Oh, we have a problem. The problem is you won too much money. Sam, I've always hated that. Never understood it. But the state of New York may be stepping in to say, hey, look, you're taking a lot of money from these losers. If people win, you should pay them too and let them bet.
Yeah, well, first of all, kudos to anyone who ever gets limited. I'm not nearly good enough at predicting sports or betting on sports to ever have a sports book tell me they don't want to keep taking my money. This week you had, I guess, a lot of people have heard the cries from the people who do get limited because you had a New York lawmaker introduce a bill that would prevent sports books from doing this, prevent them from limiting customers, prevent them from capping the size of the frequency of their bets, and prevent them from banning them, unless, of course, it's for a responsible gaming reason or a sports integrity reason. As you mentioned, Craig, limiting or cutting off winning players is common in the sports betting industry and in the casino industry at large with poker and other games like that. Sportsbooks have said it's crucial to their business, especially to protect their margins against these, sharp bettors that look to beat inefficient lines or look to move quickly on things. But to your point, critics have long kind of complained that this just skews the dynamic unfairly against, losing bettors and casual bettors, where sports books are really just profiting off of people losing small amounts of money and then bigger amounts of money, as opposed to really serving, people who want to bet professionally. If the bill passed, which I think might be a long shot, at least at this point, it would fundamentally change how sports books operate in New York and potentially the entire country. You have, countries like the UK and Australia, which do have these kinds of rules where sports books are required to take a minimum from anyone. But it would force sports books to, take on more risk in New York, where obviously they already don't really like the rules. There's a 51% tax on revenue there. So It's significant that this comes in a state like New York, which is the biggest market right now for sports books. They've been able to get away with kind of taking half their money because it's been such an important market. If this gets to become a market where they can't even do what they think is their normal business practice, they could leave. I imagine they'll lobby hard against it. But even beyond that, I would imagine it'll lead to similar ideas in other states, which, we've seen already. States like Illinois institute something controversial with a tax on handle, and other states and other cities say, hey, maybe we should try that, or maybe we should up our tax rate, like New York has as well. So at the end of the day, I'd expect sportsbooks to really come out and lobby hard against this. Now, whether they'll be successful, who knows? It'll be really interesting to see where kind of the support for this comes from. The better advocacy lobby, let's just say, is not quite the same as the sportsbook advocacy lobby, especially in New York. But expect a sweeping lobbying force to come out against this bill.
Finally, 2 months away, Sam, from sports legally opening up for sports betting in the state of Missouri. So I think we're going to see a lot of these new partnerships here popping up in this month and next month as well. This one, tell me a little bit more about it. It involves Underdog and a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah, Underdog has partnered with the Kansas City Royals to reach a market access agreement that allows Underdog to become a sports book in Missouri when the state launches sports betting on December 1st. That would mean they take up one of the last two remaining spots. So if this goes through, if the Missouri Gaming Commission approves Underdog's license there'll only be one spot left up for grabs. The commission still has to issue temporary licenses, which I'm told will probably happen at the end of this month. So we kind of already have an idea of who's going to be in the market, but we'll have the official stamp on it just in a matter of weeks. Underdog already has a relationship with the Kansas City Royals, so it's not really surprising to see that that's the team that they partnered with here. They already do some sponsorship deals at Kauffman Stadium, but I'm also told that this deal won't include a physical sports book at the stadium, which we've seen in past. These sorts of deals have been around. Missouri's law allows up to 2 betting providers that don't have to partner with the state's teams or casinos. We've already had a bunch that have DraftKings and Circa have taken up those 2, quote unquote, untethered licenses where they don't have to partner. You have BetMGM, Caesars, and ESPN Bet have already secured partnerships with their parent company casinos. You have Bet365 is partnered with the Cardinals, FanDuel with St. Louis City SC, and Fanatics with Boyd Gaming, which owns a casino in the state. So you have just one spot left up for grabs after this partnership. Potentially a Hard Rock could try to do that. Potentially a smaller company like Better. We've already heard that Bet Rivers is no longer interested in pursuing Missouri for financial reasons. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens here if anybody even takes up that spot at the end. And a big move for Underdog, which is obviously looking to expand in states like North Carolina and states where it has prediction markets now as well. So this will be another one, another feather in its cap.
As always, great stuff, Sam. Appreciate it. We'll read more over at LegalSportsReport.com. Enjoy the baseball tonight, and we'll catch up again next week. Thanks again.
Yep, thanks. You too, Craig.
Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. Simon Applebaum is up next. Don't go away.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Our resident expert on streaming and broadcasting and also some sports betting as well is Simon Applebaum. He hosts the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised, and he's in our studios in New York today to give us more. And Simon, always great to catch up with you here on the show. And man, the last thing that I want to start off with are these, carriage disputes. I know we had one going into the football season. Luckily, that got fixed. Now we have a little bit of another one, and by little, NBC's about to take over some NBA stuff here, so I'm hoping, Simon, that this gets fixed in the near future.
Absolutely, Craig. And here's the update right now. First of all, the NBC Universal deal with YouTube TV, it is not blacked out. If you're a YouTube TV subscriber, you are getting the NBC Universal cable channels. And that's because they made, late last night, a short-term agreement. How short-term, we don't know. We think it's going to be at least to the end of the month. And then they still have to work out a long-term deal. However, Univision is out. So no Univision, no Unimas, no Tudin, which is their all-soccer channel, no Galavision, and no word in terms of whether or not they're going to try to renegotiate that deal. However, you were talking about the WNBA before. There was another deal that NBC Universal got done, and it got done for USA Network. Now, this is a deal that they had to renegotiate. It was an original deal to carry WNBA games on USA Network that was made last year. However, because USA Network is being spun off along with other NBC cable channels into Versant, which that deal is supposed to happen and close and go public early next year, that deal has been renegotiated, and it's a big deal, especially if you're looking forward to the WNBA Finals and on ESPN, because under this new agreement with USA Network, the WNBA is going to have at least 50 games, most of them on Wednesday night doubleheaders on USA, plus in some years, is an 11-year deal that runs through the middle of next decade, they will get certain WNBA semifinals and finals games on USA Network. So it's a better deal than originally was planned for USA Network, and I wonder what the folks at ESPN and Disney are thinking about on some years on this new deal. They will lose their coverage of some of the NBA Finals and semifinal games.
All right. Wow. Interesting stuff there. All right. So let's get to Amazon here. And, certainly they're going to be a big player in sports going forward. Prime is going to be streaming games in basketball this season. And no stranger to sports betting apparently here, too. There's going to be a way, Simon, for people to engage not only with the games while streaming, but also potentially with sports betting as well. Tell us more.
Well, when Amazon starts the NBA on Prime Video later this month, they're going to start off with a number of interactive features, and one of them is a personalized bet tracking feature. If you have a FanDuel account, you can use this feature along with your Prime Video subscription. What will happen is that when you watch the games, whatever bets you have made through FanDuel with that game or other NBA games, you will be able to see those situations plus updates on your television screen, and it will be updated throughout the course of the game. You'll also be seeing odds on other games as well. But here's the thing. You can't place a bet yet through the television set. But down the road, you might. And here's why. Because also yesterday, Amazon, a press event here in New York, made it public that Alexa Plus, which is a generative AI voice feature that was introduced earlier this year, is now playing on Amazon Fire TV sets. And at this event yesterday, they actually showed a very interesting sports application for it. So let's say you want to find out about the Yankees wildcard game last night. And you ask Alexa Plus, Alexa, show me the information. So on your TV screen, you can see the final score. You can see an inning-by-inning box score, and if you want, you can get highlights, and you can even have Alexa Plus in his or her voice summarize what happened. Like, Shohei Ohtani, pitched 3 2/3 innings. He struck out 2, walked 1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, by the way, at this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to the sports highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, and maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus. It is a big deal.
Interesting stuff there from Prime. Now, ESPN, let's be honest here, Simon, they kind of fell behind in the streaming platform, and they've put all their eggs in this basket on the mega content service that they're launching here. And I guess, Simon, the question is, did they fall too far behind with all of these little bells and whistles that they're adding to this? And is this going to be worth it for people to do anything besides just streaming? Because this day and age, if you don't add anything extra, people have, a little skeptical about paying for another content service.
ESPN management, Craig, led by Jimmy Pitaro, the chairman, who, by the way, was honored last night here in New York with the annual Broadcasting Cable Hall of Fame. He was there. I had a chance to see him and talk to him about the situation. He is putting a lot of chips behind the ESPN, what I call the mega content service. And when it comes to betting, something very interesting. There is a betting part of that service. And on that betting service, they also have a bet tracking service. They list odds and other elements of what you can bet on. However, you can place a bet. You can't do it to the television set. You have to go to ESPN Bet's own app to do it. However, Pitaro told me that they are working on a way that you could make the bet on the television set with either your voice or with a button on the remote control. When I asked him what kind of time frame they're working on there, could this happen in like 6 months, a year or so, he was non-committal. But given, as I mentioned before, about what's going on with Alexa Plus and with other agents that will be available on other smart TV sets that might allow betting features to do the bet on the TV screen with your voice or with a button, don't be surprised if maybe sooner than we think, ESPN will allow you in this mega content service, and given whatever bet you're working with, whether it's FanDuel or DraftKings, whatever, to have this kind of feature on your television set. And by the way, also at the event, I ran into Mark Marshall, one of the key executives at NBC Universal, and 2 bits about that. One is that they're already working on plans for the 2028 Summer Olympic Games. They are expecting, with NBC and Peacock, to have over 7,500 hours of coverage for that event. Also, when I asked him about betting and so forth, he told me that we are exiting the age of where you want to order products and services and things like that, use a QR code, and the smartphone does the rest, to an age where you're going to use your voice or buttons on your remote control to do commerce, to do shopping, and possibly betting.
Wow. All right, Simon, let's close it out real quick. Of course, Major League Baseball is jumping in opening night. They're going to be on Netflix. You think college football could be next?
It very well could. There was an effort that was reported in a number of places last week that Netflix was trying to get the Notre Dame USC rivalry game. They talked to USC about the idea of, if you move it to another site, a middle location, we'll take it. The Big Ten, however, intervened. But look forward to the possibility of Netflix trying to do college rivalry games and maybe a bowl game.
Thanks, Simon. Have a great week.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for 2, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. It's put up a shut-up time for some of these teams that have scheduled nothing but cupcakes, Donnie, to start the season without truly being tested. Are you, right, Miami, they've played ranked teams over and over and over and just beat Florida as well. So, some of these teams like Penn State, what are we going to get from them? The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
You're having a bad fantasy football season when you are holding on to a player that you think that maybe can help you, and then he immediately plays one game and gets placed on injured reserve. So that is the case today, as the Arizona Cardinals are placing running back, I shouldn't laugh, Trey Benson on IR. This being reported right now. So those of you who are in the fantasy game, make sure you tune in to Fantasy Sports today all over the weekend here on SportsGrid. All right, in terms of What we have next, of course, it is our friends at Front Office Sports. They had a chance to sit down with Stanley Cup champion Mark Messier. His company Game 7 is being named the first ever patch sponsor of the New York Rangers. Take a listen.
And the Hall of Famer Mark Messier is joining us now. Mark, good to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk about the upcoming NHL season and a bunch of other things in a bit, but let's talk about the jersey patch. I see Game 7 already on your hat. How exciting is this for you to be a part of this and for the Rangers to have their first jersey patch sponsor?
It's a dream come true. I can't believe we're actually sitting here. We've been putting together and building Game 7 for quite a few years. The conversation came up that the Rangers were maybe considering having a patch partner. And that kind of got the wheels spinning. We had a lot of conversations with the New York Rangers, and it just became apparent that we were so aligned in what our brand stood for. Madison Square Garden, where greatness is born, and of course, Game 7, where legends are made. The stage is the biggest, brightest, and winner go home. So there was just so much synergy. There was just so much alignment. And here we are, after months of negotiating and talking about how we aligned and getting ready to start the centennial season, 100 years of history.
Cool.
And we're going to have Game 7 on the patch of the New York Rangers jersey, one of the most iconic jerseys in sports. We couldn't be more proud, all of us, at Game 7.
Yeah, Mark, I love that you're still making an impact on the ice and a trailblazer being a part of the first. And also, when you look at this upcoming season, it's such a transitional season, it feels like. Looking back at last year, I'll start there, such as the success of Four Nations and Ovechkin's goal race. As a league, you know about building off of success. How can the NHL build off of the success of last year's moments?
Yeah, it just seems like every year we enter it and we go, there's just more and more great players, great personalities coming into the league. And we had so many great storylines last year with Ovechkin, with the Florida Panthers, with McDavid trying to win his first Stanley Cup. There's never a shortage of content and great storylines with the National Hockey League. And it's because of the game itself, but it's also because of the great players and the great people that, put our players in that position. For us, the New York Rangers, we're looking for them to have a great year. You look at, to your point, they're in a bit of a transition phase for a team. They're changing, making seismic changes. Anytime you change the core leadership group, there's going to be some obviously some changes along the way, and the Rangers decided to do that because they needed to make those changes. Now we have brought a new coach in who's been here before, who's got incredible pedigree as a winner at every level. They're changing the nucleus of the team, and like I've said before, every team is built around their nucleus, and that nucleus are the leadership, and that nucleus is responsible for a lot of things that happen amongst the team throughout the course of the year. So the Rangers are in the middle of a change. I still think they got enough talent to make the playoffs. And I still think once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. But more importantly, I think after the 40-game mark this year, we'll have a really good idea of where the Rangers are headed.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the other team that it seems like they're always in the Stanley Cup Finals, and that's the Florida Panthers. Do you expect them to be in it once again, Mark? And are you tired of just seeing the same teams in the finals every single year? Somebody else but Florida, please.
Well, I have a little affinity for teams that can actually do what Florida has done and what Tampa Bay has done and what the Edmonton Oilers were able to do and the New York Islanders back in the 80s. It's not easy to win once. It's harder to win twice. And then to repeat. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of mental acuity to kind of keep yourself focused at the task at hand to stay that relevant for that many years in a row. There's a lot of harmony in our sport right now, and we're riding a lot of momentum. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that we're able to kind of move through this next negotiating phase and keep things moving along the way that they have been over the last few years.
Great. Rangers legend, the great Mark Messier, joining here on Front Office Sports today. Thank you, Mark, so much for joining us.
Great to be on with you folks. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back with more NewsWire right after this quick timeout. Make sure you stay with us here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh is up next. Don't go away.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
$341 million of payroll. Best record in Major League Baseball through June 12th. 5th worst record after that. They would have made the playoffs, as this tweet says, because why? They just needed a win on Sunday versus Miami, and they couldn't beat the Marlins, who have like a $50 million payroll. The Metropolitans are out, but hey guys, you see Juan Soto's great season.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Not betting-wise, action-wise. Like, I got to watch this game at 12.
I want to see Notre Dame, Arkansas.
I want to see. He's in, people. He's in.
I'll tell you another
Notre
game.
Dame.
It's under. I want to see Duke and Syracuse at 12:45.
Nobody wants to see that game.
Stop.
I mean, there's people that we know that would like that game, but we don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? We're not watching any of that game.
Ricky Collins?
Big
Ricky Collins?
game Saturday, Joe.
Okay,
I need your focus back for this. It's the SEC. It just means more.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Special treat. We got Kevin Walsh in the house. He's getting ready for his programming, of course, coming up tonight. Great to have him here on NewsWire. Kevin, thanks for coming on the show here today. I hope your day's off to a good start.
Yeah, off to a good start. I'm about to get some baseball underway here, so we're trying to get ready for those games as much as we can. It's a busy time in the sports calendar, as you know, Craig.
Yeah, and busy time to have to pay attention to every single sport going on. I gotta be honest with you, if Sam, who's producing the show today, and for Frank didn't tell me this, I would have had no idea that the WNBA Finals are coming up this week. I'm just keeping it totally real. I had no idea. But the Aces, Las Vegas Aces, are headed to the finals, and they win in overtime 107-98. So look, I mean, every opportunity with a game, Kevin, is a betting opportunity. So let's dive into this one as it gets ready here this weekend.
Yeah, to give the journey a little bit, Craig, for those who maybe, like yourself, have not been understandably fully locked into every, beat of the WNBA season. When you see the Vegas Aces in the finals, you go, same old story. It's their third time making the finals in 4 years. This group was 14-14, and that 14th loss was by 53 points to the Minnesota Lynx. It was the biggest home loss a team had ever suffered in the history of the WNBA. So they were bang average, making all of the wrong records, and won 16 straight regular season games to get up to the 2 seed. That's why they now have home court here in this WNBA Finals. And it may be the most important home court advantage we've seen, Craig, because for the first time in the history of the WNBA Finals, we have a best of 7. We usually deal in 5-game series. We know in the opening rounds, they're 3-game series, but this is now 7 games potentially, which would mean 4 home games for the Vegas Aces if we go the distance.
Wow, could be a fun series, I think, incoming here. And from what I see in game 1 here, Kevin, you correct me if I'm wrong, Aces, maybe because of the experience, 3.5-point favorites, minus 162 on the money line. The first game total 159.5. So as they say in boxing, styles make fights. What should this matchup look like this weekend?
Well, I guess then if you're going to stick with the boxing analogy, the Mercury hoped, despite seemingly having a stylistic disadvantage, you could always hit a knockout punch. They've played the Aces 4 times this year. They won the first time. Caveat, Aja Wilson didn't play in that game. They played 3 times when they were all fully healthy, and Vegas won all 3. And some of those games came before Vegas had seemingly turned their season around and were playing at the level. The most recent matchup between the teams was a 22-point blowout for Vegas. What stands out to me is that was the only game that they played in Vegas. The other 3 had been in Phoenix, so you mentioned that 3.5-point spread where the books are, I think, telling us, Craig, when we go back to Phoenix, the Mercury are going to be booked as favorites, right? Maybe a little bit smaller, but when we start to flip home court advantage in this, but for Vegas, I think they're better than just the home court bounce compared to the Mercury. So that number looks a little short to me on open. I wonder if it's a little depressed because there is a rest advantage a little bit for Phoenix. They finished their series earlier than the Aces did. But Vegas is the rightful favorites in the game, Craig. I'm just wondering if they are actually favored by as much as they should be.
Now, in terms of the WNBA's MVP of the finals, Kevin, I, again, just transparently speaking, don't know a ton about who could potentially win this, but I do know how to identify odds. And so certainly when looking at this, it's telling me that if Las Vegas wins, that Aja Wilson's going to win. And if Phoenix wins, then Alyssa Thompson is going to win. Now, I understand we're throwing a lot of names out there. I see that. But the odds makers are certainly heavily favored, these 2 women going into the game.
Yeah, they're arguably 2 of the 3 best players in the world, with Nafisha Collier rounding out that big 3. Aja just won league MVP again. And going through the matchups, Craig, it is impossible to imagine a world where the Aces win the title and Aja does not win finals MVP. She was putting up pretty consistently like 26 and 14 against Phoenix in the regular season. Her postseason numbers are even gaudier than that, at least from a scoring perspective. So Aja is appropriately booked. I'm not saying Alyssa Thomas isn't, but I think that she would be the more susceptible of the 2 because of Satu Sabally. Because Satu is likely going to lead this team in scoring in the series. And if you're trying to find an edge for Alyssa Thomas, she's a great defender. She is the triple-double queen of this league. So she can, again, rightful favorite. Is that gap a little too strong, though? I think it's on the board. If you're someone looking to back Phoenix, you could make an argument for Satu Sabally. I don't think Kalia Copper. I think even maybe the biggest case on betting Satu may not be Alyssa isn't going to get it done, but more Satu's way more likely than Kalia Copper. And if that's the gap between those 2, then there might be some value around the Satu Sabally prices you're seeing.
Kevin, let's close it out with the comments that Collier made yesterday, and the drumbeat just keeps getting louder here at this point. It's very obvious that the WNBA players feel like there's so much wrong within their league and the organization. The pay, the endorsements, a lot of these athletes are making more money outside the game than inside the game. The league seems to be taking the stance that the players should be lucky to be making what they're making. And I do understand, Kevin, and I want to keep it real, that this is only an influx in interest over the last couple of years. Everyone points to one player. I'm not really sure if it is or if that is the case, but I know that where they stand right now is way more popular than when they were. So is the league culpable at this point? Do they need to make adjustments? Or is this simply much ado about nothing?
No. There's a lot going on here, but you're right. So I think what throws people off is the players in the WNBA have felt underpaid for years and years and years and years. But the popularity at the starting point of those feelings, right, compared to now is very different. So people were very dismissive for, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, of that feeling that there is a gap in worth, right, relative to the numbers that you're seeing. But now the landscape has changed. The WNBA is significantly more valuable. The worth of these franchises is significantly more valuable. I again, people will find this to be nuts. That's fine. I think the Indiana Fever are a more valuable commodity than a number of NHL franchises, because most people have no idea who are on these hockey franchises. I understand the value of the league, but because it's a smaller WNBA, when you have that one supernova, the Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, the Minnesota Lynx, I think that is all true. And sometimes, Craig, and you see this in all sports, right? With the NIL. Yes, it's complicated, but the starting point didn't need to be. Should athletes be able to make money off of their name and their worth? I thought that answer was always yes. And once we can cross that bridge, we'll figure the rest out. The revenue split, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, Craig, who thought that the revenue split in the NBA was 8%. And I was like, oh, I hope you're sitting. It's 50%. It's 50%. The WNBA's is 9%. Nobody's saying that Aja Wilson needs to make LeBron money. What we're saying is the percentages are way wrong. If you get it to 30, that's triple what the current revenue split is, Craig. Right. That's where the numbers are completely off.
Yeah, and it seems to me that if that is indeed the case, and thanks for breaking that down, because it gives me a point of interest, that even to triple it is not something that the league and the owners are going to want to do. Even to
Certainly
get to
not.
30, it's like even to double it would seem to be probably out of the stratosphere. So I think the players are probably a little stuck here. Maybe they should hope for 12% or 15. I mean, which stinks, but that's I guess part of the CBA that the players and owners signed years ago. All right, Kevin's gonna continue with us. We'll head over to Major League Baseball, break down some games next.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
$341 million of payroll. Best record in Major League Baseball through June 12th. 5th worst record after that. They would have made the playoffs, as this tweet says, because why? They just needed a win on Sunday versus Miami, and they couldn't beat the Marlins, who have like a $50 million payroll. The Metropolitans are out, but hey guys, you see Juan Soto's great season.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Not betting wise, action wise. Like, I got to watch this game at 12.
I want to see Notre Dame, Arkansas.
I want to see. He's in, people. He's in.
I'll tell you another
Notre
game.
Dame.
It's under. I want to see Duke and Syracuse at 12:45.
Nobody wants to see that game.
Stop.
I mean, there's people that we know that would like that game, but we don't want to watch that game. You know what I mean? We're not watching any of that game.
Ricky Collins?
Big
Ricky Collins?
game Saturday, Joe.
Okay,
I need your focus back for this. It's the SEC. It just means more.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. One game underway. We've got the Detroit Tigers taking on the Cleveland Guardians in Game 2 of the wild card round. And naturally, a lot of the focus is going to be on the game tonight between the Red Sox and Yankees. It will be Game 2 in a critical situation for the Yankees. If they do not win, their season is over. Same could be said later today for the San Diego Padres and also the Cincinnati Reds, who seemingly just got the show up award for last night in LA. Tough scene for them. All right, so Yankees and Red Sox, Kevin, here, this is what everybody wants to talk about. This is what everybody wants to watch. And, it's like a critical mass here again for Yankees Nation. I get it. I feel it. I see it. But, I mean, outside of last year, Kevin, this is what I don't understand as somebody who follows baseball pretty closely, clearly, is that why do Yankee fans expect anything different? They got to the World Series last year because Stanton got real hot and their offense was hot. But this is the way that their offense has worked for the last 6-7 years. If they don't get hot, they get knocked out in the postseason. This has happened year after year. And by the way, they could score 7 runs tonight, and then they could score 6 runs on Wednesday, and then they could roll through the entire American League by scoring runs. But their issue is all or nothing. It always has been, and I think it always will be until they change the philosophy of how they're doing things, and home runs win games. I get that. But are they built to come back in this series now, Kevin, you think, and win? I mean, certainly no one's going to be better than Crochet was, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, Craig. I actually played the AL East to win the World Series when the bracket was set. Again, despite what people will expect from a Yankee fan, I'm not 100. I wasn't sure they would win this series, and if they did, I wasn't sure they'd beat the Red Sox, despite or the Blue Jays, excuse me, despite the fact that the Yankees were playing good baseball coming in. You say, it's the same old, and here is what is stunning for me, Craig, is that, and I know focusing on managers' decisions is very local because I think most people probably couldn't even tell you who the manager of the Cubs is, like all in all. But for Aaron Boone's main decision, you can get Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm, the main decision when to take Max Fried out of the game to immediately result in disaster. It feels like it will end up being the defining, unless they, I guess, get past Boston, it will be the defining moment of this series. The fact that Crochet was able to stay out made everything worse for the Aaron Boone decision, because I understand what you're saying of all or nothing home runs, and that's how the team is. But Craig, they're not at a talent deficit here to Boston. Like, it's not that they should lose this series. They have home field advantage against a team that they are at worst as good as. And yet, here they are now, backs up against the wall.
Yeah, they scored 1 run. I don't care who the pitcher is on the other side.
The bases in the bottom of the ninth inning and proceeded to. Yeah. But what's also incredible, again, like, and these are things like I said, I'm aware that it's very local, but people are like, you have Jack Curry. Obviously, I know you know who Jack Curry is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Who's like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't pinch run Jason Dominguez. And it's like, so the biggest takeaway are like 4 or 5 things where no one has a real answer as to why Aaron Boone made the decision. Like, Craig, I'd rather not talk about Aaron Boone. I'd rather it be about Crochet's dominance. Can Aaron Judge get it done? Like, those are the interesting things. Do you think I'm wrong that Aaron Boone felt like the big story coming out of that game?
Yeah, no, I think it is a lot of times when the Yankees lose. But look, I saw the Yankees up close and personal, Kevin, here in South Florida when the Marlins swept them, and their bullpen couldn't get anybody out at that time too. Like this is nothing new for me. But the only difference was in that series they scored some runs, so I was optimistic that when they got back to the postseason it would be something similar to last year. But when your 2 primary hitters, and I understand Bellinger and Jazz, and there's some other nice hitters that they have on the team, but when your 2 primary hitters carry you, generally speaking, Stanton last postseason, Judge during the regular season, those guys are going to have to hit home runs in the playoffs, in the postseason. And it's going to happen often because there's going to be less runs scored in postseason games. This is just factual. So your best players are going to have to hit home runs and step up. And if they don't, and Kevin, they score another 1 run tonight, it wouldn't shock me. Like, that's just kind of what they've been. It also, again, wouldn't shock me if now they just start scoring 1 million runs and then they go all the way to the World Series like they did last year. But it's the variance of that team in particular to me, offensively. I understand it's a game. You said local, that's fair. Managerial key decisions. I'm more of the bigger view as to the way that I just viewed the team, and it just doesn't surprise me to see that happen yesterday.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, they are. it's like the old the Harden Rockets, right? Like it's all threes, so it's all variance, right? So when you're dealing with all home runs, it's all variance. But it seems if you're all variance, then you have to be buttoned up in other areas. Where, hey, if we aren't hitting home runs, can we win the game on the margins? And they're the opposite. Hey, if we don't hit home runs, I promise you we will lose this game on the margins.
Yes, that's
Every
it.
time
Yes.
you actually have to make a decision, we will make the wrong decision. It seems to be the vibe of the Red Sox didn't hit a home run yesterday, right? Like,
right, it's a close game, right? Low scoring, close game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad baseball.
No, I understand. I mean, I can make the case Hunter Green was as hot and good as anybody going into the postseason, and they got obliterated by the Dodgers. That's the difference. Ohtani hits 2 home runs, and Teoscar Hernandez hits what? I mean, why? Why should the Dodgers be that much better offensively? Because all of a sudden they show up, and that's it. And that's just the difference for me. Okay, so who ends the series today, Kevin? In your opinion, I'll give you Detroit, Chicago, Boston, LA. 4 teams. Who ends it today?
I actually quite like Detroit. Now, getting the first 2 runners on in that game and proceeding to not score is a very bad sign. Detroit stood out the most to me of the bunch. I don't know. I tend to believe the Reds have a chance. Like, also, if you the Reds scored 5 runs yesterday and got doubled up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is that's a very bad sign for Cincinnati in a postseason where in the other games no one could score. You scored and had no chance.
All right. Well, we'll be watching the games together tonight, Kevin. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig.
We'll come back and wrap things up next with some last licks. Don't go away. Now let's get to a player who was taken in the first round of every fantasy football draft, and thus far has produced the least points, George. I mean, I thought you'd just take a rookie running back in the first round and you get yourself 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But Boise State's Ashton Genty for the Las Vegas Raiders, we got out of excuses, right? Like at this point, it's they got to give him the ball more. They got to do this. They got to do that. I mean, George, does this guy look like Barry Sanders? Like, that was the comparisons? Like, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Our panicometer, all right, doesn't go high enough here. All right, because this is, I mean, come on, we're freaking out here. I don't think it's all Genty, by the way. He has more yards after contact than before contact. That pretty much lets you know what the problem is there. All right, the Raiders needed a running back, sure, but they need an offensive line. All right, they need a couple of offensive linemen. It's not something you can fix in one off season here. So yeah, we're gonna eat it with Genty. He's not gonna be worth the first round pick in fantasy. It's just not this year. In future years we'll see here, but not this year. The offensive line is not very good. The defense is not very good, so they have to throw the ball more in the second because they're trailing every game. So that's hurting us as well here. So yeah, like I said, the panicometer, it doesn't go high enough for this. Okay, I am more than concerned. I am not calm. I am critical. I am flipping out.
Isn't there going to be a time where he just breaks it free? George, like, what you said is not false, but I think there's a point being missed here. Why has he not broken free one time the whole season? Not once, to just run away. Like, he's Devin Singletary right now. No offense to Devin Singletary, but that's who he is.
Fantasy Sports Today, Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. As Kevin mentioned, no score between Cleveland and Detroit, but keep it here all day long to SportsGrid because we got the Major League Baseball postseason covered for you, and then, of course, NFL back tomorrow night. All right, we end the show with some last licks. Another managerial change going on yesterday and a potential replacement already maybe named. I want to get to that. Dabo Swinney is walking everything back from what he had 2 weeks ago. My gosh. And the last real truly rookie quarterback standing looks like maybe his chance is coming up. We'll get to that as well. It's time now for some last licks. Okay, the next story to pay attention to outside of the games in Major League Baseball is the one that I'm going to review here. We'll do the funny side, and then we'll do the real side. So yesterday, Ron Washington, one of my guys, one of my favorite guys, super cool guy, by the way, had some very serious health issues last year, had to leave the team, was unable to finish managing the season with the Angels. The Angels told him that because of performance unrelated to the health issues, they were going to let him go. And Washington said, what am I supposed to do? They said, I'm not a good manager. I got to go. But it was a little bizarre yesterday how the Angels made this announcement. They posted it on social media, which is totally normal, except for if you see that little picture there that we're showing you on your screen, my gosh, it almost looks like there are clouds like in the sky. And people thought maybe Ron Washington passed away. Very weird background that they posted there. I did a double take too, thinking, oh my gosh, something happened to Ron Washington. And he's had health scare too. So you kind of know maybe using some other color scheme background would have been best for Ron Washington, who will be back, by the way, doing something in Major League Baseball. He's a great coach, a great infield coach, works with guys before the game. He's incredible. By the way, there are some media outlets reporting yesterday in the Dominican Republic, and now I see today that Albert Pujols may become the next manager of the Los Angeles Angels with no experience whatsoever, out of nowhere. So interesting note there too. We'll see if Pujols is the next manager in Major League Baseball. He's supposed to coach or manage the World Baseball Classic team for the Dominican Republic, and he can't do that if he's the manager of the Angels too. Multi-layered story. Dabo Swinney a couple of weeks ago, after a loss, said, hey, we've been great. Take it easy on me. The head coach of Clemson, Dabo, right? First they lose to LSU, then they lose another game, then they lose to Syracuse. And Dabo's like, we've won so many times. What? I can't have a bad year. We're going to be fine. And then all of a sudden in his press conferences over the last week or so, he has completely walked that back. In fact, yesterday in his conference for the game coming up this week, Dabo said that the failure of the Tigers is all on him, which is kind of not what he said a few weeks ago, saying that he'll be fine and he'll still be coaching somewhere. Look, Dabo's making so much money at Clemson, there's no buyout coming for him. But what I've said before, and I'll say it again, is very easy to understand. The landscape of college football has changed. I don't care how good you were, if you were Nick Saban or if you were Dabo. You got to hit the transfer portal and pay money to have players play on your team in college football. That's it. You got to do it. Sorry to say, if you don't want to, then retire. But the landscape has changed. Players are free agents in college. Clemson has not opened up the wallet like some other teams do. And until they do, this is going to be the result. Clemson's going to fall behind. They'll be an average football team at best, maybe playing in a December bowl game at this point. That's even questionable. Finally, Tyler Shuck on social media, actually really nicely with the media and social media, did the right thing. He told fans, hey, look, I'm just trying to do my best, wait my time. Why am I mentioning this? Because basically every rookie quarterback's getting a chance to start right now. We've already seen several changes, including Jackson Dart. We saw Dylan Gabriel named starter today. Shuck says, hey, I'm going to wait. I'm going to just bide my time. Spencer Rattler, by the way, has done a really nice job for the Saints, even though they're 0-4. Cam Ward is starting, of course, not doing so well. Look, this has not been a great rookie quarterback season, but I think eventually Shuck will get his shot. My prediction would be is that if this week the Saints lose to the Giants, you're going to see Shuck play in week 6 in the National Football League. All right, that will do it for our show today. Thanks again to Kevin Walsh for coming on. And of course, thanks to Justin Perry, in addition to Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. And of course, thanks to all of our great guests here on the show each and every day here on NewsWire. You can scan this QR code, and this will take you to the SportsGrid app, which is completely free and available for both iOS and Android. Make sure you download the SportsGrid app. You can also track your bets there if you're making any bets coming up this weekend. Thanks again to our director, Luke. Frank had the day off to cry about the Yankees, so we brought in Sam, and he was very happy to produce the show today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day here on SportsGrid, and I'll see you back for our next edition of the show at noon Eastern on Thursday. Have a great day.